Hello, everybody, and welcome to this 13th episode of the second season of the Closers Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Marco Alvarado. Joining me, as always, is Quinn the Moondog Kalani. What is up, my man?
Food, glorious food.
How are you?
Cold jelly and custard.
Dude, I feel like it's been a long time since we've talked. Is it just me, or it feels like we haven't done a pod in like a good month, but it's only been
About 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
That's just the longing in your heart. I appreciate it.
The longing in my heart. Yeah, maybe it is.
You went down to SoCal and you felt a little betrayal in your gut, in your huevos. You're like, I'm in enemy territory. I'm behind enemy lines.
Oh yeah, for sure. It was a weird time, man. Let me tell you, it was a weird, interesting time, which we will get to later on in the show. But first, I must say, please follow the show on Instagram at The Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. There we are, The Closers Podcast. Comment on the videos. We got a lot of people, well, not a lot, but we got some engagement on the Rams Week 1 breakdown podcast that Quinn did for Hang 10 on Monday, which came out on Monday. Got some comments, got some more views than we're used to. So if you want to be part of the movement, go to YouTube and listen to us on there. But if you don't want a video or anything like that, you're not part of YouTube, whatever their Prime subscription is, Spotify and Apple Pods and Stitcher, Google Pods, and wherever else you get your pods, we're there too. We will always be there for you. So with that out of the way, Quinn, it was a wild weekend in terms of not just me going to the wild, out in the Wild West, but also football is back. As you talked about on the pod, you definitely focused on Rams talk specifically. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch really any of the games because of the fact that I was driving back from Joshua Tree yesterday. And then on Thursday, I was driving to Joshua Tree. So I really didn't catch any football at all. I'm barely watching the Titans-Broncos game, and even that is on right now. And I'm like, I have it on mute. I'm not really paying attention because I'm doing this. So I'm going to defer to you and what you have seen this past weekend in terms of football quality, and what are some of your winners and some of your losers are in terms of the NFL for this week 1. I'm not sure if we're going to do this every week, but we will try to be somewhat consistent with the NFL talk, just because that is something that we both like to talk about, and it's quick and it's very accessible to people. So I think it's a pretty easy topic to talk about. But Quinn, what did you see yesterday? Or we're recording on Monday, so what did you see yesterday?
Yeah, buddy, rolling like a big shot. Chevy tuned up like a NASCAR pit stop. First of all, I'd like to commend myself for putting on pants without even getting up out of my chair.
Wow.
Second of all, Week 1 winners, NFL. First of all, Week 1 is win off. NFL is back in our lives. Praise Jesus. Praise Yahweh. Praise Allah. Praise Buddha. Praise Odin.
Odin's son.
Finally a sense of real normalcy happening in the NFL, happening back in our lives. I've been dying. I've been craving for professional football to be back. And it came back strong. There were some amazing games yesterday, starting with I thought was the best game of yesterday, which was your Marco Alvarado, your Silver State Raiders, versus the Carolina Take Your Shirt Off Panthers, and it was a great game. 7 lead changes.
That's wild.
I believe the final score was somewhere around 31-27 or 35-31.
It was 34-30.
34-30. Right in the middle. Damn. Yeah. MVP of yesterday, running the ball, Josh Jacobs, rolled Tide. What'd I tell y'all?
Would you say that he outdueled Christian McCaffrey?
Far and away.
Wow.
Far and away. 3 rushing touchdowns, just shy of 100 yards. And, man, it's clear the effect of having a franchise running back can have on the rest of the offense. It allowed the back end of the field to open up. Henry Ruggs had a good debut. Carr was looking like the Carr of old. Not the Carr of yesterday, but the Carr of yesteryear.
Yeah, when he was like an MVP conversation candidate.
Yeah, he played well, made smart decisions. And, man, it was looking like the Gruden Tampa Bay team of old.
Oh, wow.
Circa 2002. I mean, granted, they had Brad Johnson at quarterback. Brad Johnson's a scrub and a half.
You'd rather have Derek Carr over Brad Johnson.
Of course. Christian McCaffrey did have an admirable game. I believe he was somewhere around the century mark running 2.
Yeah.
Also believe he had around 2 touchdowns. Teddy Bridgewater showed up. He's proven himself to be a very capable quarterback. They do need some help at the receiver position in Carolina. It's going to be hard to compete in the NFC South, particularly with the New Orleans Saints.
Yeah, it is going to be tough.
But Carolina overall, I mean, anytime you put up 30 points is, a more than decent performance.
Yes.
It was a gunfight. Good old classic Nevada Silver State gunfight. And just like Wyatt Earp and Doc Holliday, John Gruden and Josh Jacobs came in and won at high noon. I was very impressed with the Las Vegas Raiders, formerly the Oakland Raiders.
Yep.
Things look good. Things look bright for the Raiders going forward. In that AFC West division, the Chargers underwhelmed.
Yeah.
And
they still won, though.
Yeah, they still won, but they underwhelmed.
Yeah.
They should have put on a much better performance against a Cincinnati team that is consistently bottom of the barrel. Joe Burrow is a rookie quarterback, had a rookie quarterback performance.
Yeah.
He did lead them down the field, but they couldn't capitalize.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't watched the Denver game. Mark, why don't you update us on Denver real quick?
Currently, it is tied. Tennessee has just tied up the game at 7 apiece. I believe their tight end, I can't see the name of the gentleman that scored, but their tight end just scored, and so it's 7-7, 9:21 remaining in the second quarter.
I believe that tight end's name is Noah Fant. I believe he played at Iowa back in the day. I think he's a second-year tight end right now.
Oh, Noah Fant plays for the Broncos. Tennessee scored.
Then it was Jonnu Smith.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
Jonnu Smith that scored. I'm a big believer in Tennessee. So week 1, this is going to go winner, loser, winner, loser. Your week 1 winner, number 1, Josh Jacobs, Roll Tide.
Yep.
Your week 1 loser, staying in the AFC West, the Kansas City fan base.
Wow. Whoa.
You fucking losers. The Chiefs and the Texans meet in the middle of the field for a moment of unity, and all you hear coming through your fucking Bose speakers is
boo!
Boo!
You're a
Boo!
loser! You're a loser! That's all you hear.
And look, to an extent, I understand. NFL tickets ain't cheap. The beer ain't cheap. You pay $120 to watch a football game. You really want to watch violence. You don't want to see unity. You want to see broken legs and ruptured spleens.
Sure,
but now ain't
some people.
Now ain't the time for that. You got to look at the bigger picture, Kansas City residents.
It's true. That was a pretty crazy display that I saw. The noise soundbite of, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, they weren't. It's not like they were in the middle of the field for such a long time. Like, it was impeding, like, the game start or anything. It was such a quick thing that, like, okay, so you can stand for the national anthem and you can, like, salute and do all that. That's fine. But doing this gesture, that's over the line and that's impeding the game and that's getting in the way. That's dumb. You're right. They are losers.
To be clear, It's not all the Kansas City fans. Certainly not. I mean, the stadium wasn't near full capacity.
Yeah.
But much like everything else in life, when the minority group makes a stink, the rest of the team takes the hit.
Yeah.
And, to be 100% honest, Kansas City, when you commoditize and gentrify an entire race of people into a $1 billion franchise, I don't feel too sorry for you.
Yeah, exactly. I don't either.
Your second winner of week 1, that Washington defensive front. 8 sacks. Chase Young, rookie, The Ohio State. His first ever big play, sack fumble. You gotta be shitting me. This boy is all pro. He's a gangster. He's a savage.
He's for real.
He's gonna be a bad man, as Stephen A. would say.
He is.
I was very impressed by the Washington Football Club. Why don't you guys pull your heads out of your asses and rename your team to the Red Tails? For Christ's sakes already.
Yeah.
You're not a fucking soccer team.
Yeah.
The Washington Football Club overcame a 17-point deficit in a divisional rivalry game.
Mm-hmm.
That is huge against the Philadelphia Beagles. Because y'all ain't sore like Eagles. Y'all running with chickens, as Double A would say.
They look more like the 76ers than they did the Eagles.
Y'all look like trash.
Oh, so you're saying that they're the Flyers?
Put it right out there. You're totally justifying a Rams pick of Jared Goff over Carson Wentz, tell you that much. Making me feel real good about myself. Let me tell you.
Oh, man.
For an offensive line that was renowned for having studs like Jason Peters, Lane Johnson, y'all fucking sucked last night.
Yeah.
They could be your second week 1 loser, but they're not.
Oh.
Your second loser is the greatest football player of all time, Tom Brady. Every time he stepped onto the field, I could hear a tuba follow him. He was he was throwing ducks, quackers all over the field. Bad decisions, bad reads. He was playing like a fucking 43-year-old man.
Dude, my dad told me that he got baited into like 2 picks. He made like rookie throws, like Joe Burrow Burrows, man. Like he was just
bad.
It was
bad.
From what I've been told, it was pretty bad. Pretty bad.
Stephen A. will call Aaron Rodgers a bad man. Talking about Tom Brady in week 1. Dog, you were just bad, man. But you represent San Mateo, so we're holding out hope that you come back strong, NorCal.
It's true. I hope he does. I hope he takes Tampa to the playoffs still. I agree.
Well, not off to a good start.
No.
Taking an L to a divisional rival like the New Orleans Saints.
Not a good start. No, sir. I agree.
Your third week 1 winner. It's a tie between 2 quarterbacks.
Oh.
Aaron Rodgers.
Double A. From
the
Chico.
Double A discount champ himself. Another NorCal stud. Yep. And Josh Allen.
Ooh,
of the Buffalo Bills. Bills
this.
Mafia.
I love this winner.
Coincidentally, they're both on the Stockton Slappers. Unfortunately, I can only play 1.
Wait, aren't all these guys under Stockton Slappers? Or no, not the Washington defense. Josh Jacobs is on the Stockton Slappers.
You're goddamn right.
Wait a minute.
I took an L this weekend. I'm going to be calling them out, celebrating what I can. Let's run through Double A. Aaron Rodgers stats: 364 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns. Devontae Adams had a big-ass day. Another NorCal stud. Well, right on the DMZ, talking about Fresno.
Yeah.
But another stud from California.
Yep.
Josh Allen, 312 passing yards, 2 passing touchdowns, 57 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown. I might have said this on Hang 10. If I didn't, I'm going to say it now. Hybrid quarterbacks are the new high currency of the NFL. Josh Allen, fits that bill.
Yeah,
you got Lamar Jackson, Patty Mahomes, Kyler Murray. Better believe. Need to add Josh Allen to that list. That boy's a stud.
Russell Wilson.
No.
Oh, man.
We won't acknowledge that beagle-faced bitch on this podcast. No, sir. No, sir. That nasty Jerry curl. What are you doing, Russell Wilson? You look like a goof. Kill yourself.
Oh, man. I'm sorry. I had to throw him in there. I get a kick out of it. But, so, that's your winner. Aaron Rodgers. Well, 2 winners. Is there
Aaron Rodgers, Josh Allen.
Is there another loser?
The loser. The Cowboys.
Oh, well, yeah, they lost. They sure did.
How are you going to go through a major coaching change? You drop Jason Garrett, you pick up Mike McCarthy, but you keep your offensive coordinator and your offensive terminology.
It's all the same.
And then you wonder why you're 1-7 in one-in-possession games.
It's true.
Because your play calling is shit.
It's true.
We're talking about dual-threat quarterbacks. You got Dak Prescott, but you don't take advantage of it all. Dallas.
It's true. They don't run them. They don't let them run.
You don't play like Cowboys. You don't shoot from the hip. You play like bitches. This is your X-rated Week 1 breakdown.
I know, damn.
We keep it real. Football's back. I'm jacked to the tits.
He's going hard. This guy's
They looked atrocious. Especially that Cowboys defensive front. Those pass rushers. DeMarcus Lawrence, where the hell were you? The best person on the Cowboys defense had to play football in 5 years. Shout out to Aldon Smith. Smith had a hell of a game yesterday. Believe he had 1 sack, couple hurries. X-Raider.
Yep.
An X-rated individual.
Yeah, he would be a great guest on this specific podcast. Man, I wish he
But
was
he's turned his life around by the grace of God, and I'm happy for you, Aldon Smith.
And by the grace of Jerry Jones.
True that.
Can I give a winner?
Go ahead.
A winner in my book is, drum roll please, Baker Mayfield for finally sealing the deal. He has shown everybody that he really is a goof. Like, there's been a lot of doubts, a lot of back and forth. Is he a goof, or does he just need time? And I'm here to tell you, everybody, GOOF, goof, a goof on ice. He is this week's goof. He is the goof of the week, Baker Mayfield. He's my goof of the week.
The entire Cleveland Browns got shitted on. I'm sure Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't too mad about it. But the entire Browns got completely shitted on. And what was the biggest point differential of yesterday's game? For Christ's sakes, what a mismanagement of a franchise that is.
Sad.
You got Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., Nick Chubb.
Chubbers.
He was at half mast yesterday. We need him fully erect.
And Njoku got hurt.
And
you bought Austin Hooper. You got him off free agency, and he didn't do shit.
Nowhere. Which is exactly where Cleveland ought to be. Nowhere. It's the asshole of America. We all know that. Why do you think LeBron made a stop and go?
Yeah.
That's his fucking home state, and he didn't want to be there. For Christ's sakes. And your final winner of Week 1, of course. If I'm breaking it down, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be the LA Rams offensive line. A lot of questions going into the Rams offensive line this year. Some questions we talked about on this podcast. Were they healthy? Were they just sus? Well, they showed up yesterday, and they bullied the Cowboys defensive line in Sunday night primetime when all the cameras were on them. They played cohesive. They played nasty. They took Malcolm Brown to 80 yards and 2 touchdowns.
It's true. They did.
They were opening up gaps. They were holding down their blocks, opening up screens. That's why Robert Woods had such a big day.
Playing well.
Let me tell you. Rams were playing with a tempo and a pace and an offensive aggressiveness that reminded me of 2 years ago when we went to the Super Bowl. Not saying we'll have that same success this year, though I'm hoping and I'm praying. I got my fingers and my legs crossed.
That's hard.
Well, that's my final winner from week 1. The Rams offensive line. Shout out to you boys.
I just want to
hogs up front.
I want to give a shout out as well to Gardner Minshew for balling yesterday. 95% completion percentage in a win over the Indianapolis Colts, who we were both high on going into the season.
Yeah.
And now Marlon Mack is done. He's a donezo boy. And Phillip Rivers looks like Phil Rivers of the past couple of years, where he's been throwing ducks and he just takes gambles and he looks like a straight corpse out there, and it's really sad.
True that. Yeah, we whiffed on that one.
Yeah.
We whiffed on that one.
No, we did.
Well, I mean, it is week 1. They could always turn it around.
Yeah,
anyone who I called a bitch on this podcast in the last 15 minutes, you could still turn it around.
Exactly. This is more of like a wake-up call.
We will recognize you.
Yeah. Definitely more of a wake-up call than it is a definitive, like, cementation of, like, a stance. It's more of we're Quinn's jabbing them. He's jabbing these teams, trying to get them to wake up. Wake up!
Hey, we're just knocking on the front door. That's all.
It's true. It's time to wake your punk ass up. Also, Cam Newton, man, surprised me.
I did watch the Patriots-Dolphins game. I expected it to be more competitive. The Pats-Fins usually always have a pretty competitive game. Yeah. I'm not sure if it was so much Cam as it was the offensive play calling. It was real reserved.
Yeah.
And it played heavily to Cam's strengths. And Cam delivered.
That's what a good coach will do to you.
Well, I will say is I think Tua is going to play a lot sooner than was originally anticipated now.
I agree. Dude, Fitz magic, man. I think the wand has run dry.
There were no rabbits out of that hat yesterday.
No, definitely not. Sucks.
Just a big old fucking goose egg. I believe Devontae Parker went down too, which does hurt because he's their premier receiver.
Yeah, he did. He really did. It sucks. I think now is a great time to transition, though, to looking towards week 2 of the NFL and quickly give our game of the week picks for next week. I know I'm just springing this on you right now, Quinn, so I'll give you some time to make your decision. But I'll go first, if I may, and
I gotta look up the schedule.
Give you my week 2 game of the week, in my opinion, my humble opinion, and I'm not going to go with the Raiders because that's already a Monday night game. It's going to be on like ABC. It's pretty obvious that game is going to be watched by a lot of people. But so I'm going to go with a game that's a little bit more, not going to be watched as much. But if you got like League Pass or whatever they call it, Sunday ticket, definitely try to keep your eye on this. Game Pass, yeah. Keep your eye on this game. And this game that I'm going to talk about, I'm going to say, is Carolina at Tampa Bay. I think that this game is very interesting because how is Tom Brady going to rebound from his atrocious performance against the Saints? Was it more so Tom Brady floundering, or was it the Saints' defense actually being that good? Or was it a little of both? We're going to see in Carolina because their defense is definitely a couple rungs below the New Orleans defense. If he plays the same way against Carolina that he did with New Orleans, it's going to be apparent that it's Tom. But this is his week where he's going to be able to prove that it was more so New Orleans and them just being a good team than it was him and his age. And then inversely, Carolina, they lost to the Raiders in a very back and forth game. They need to get something going if they want to compete. And in that division, you never know. So you have to start hot, and they need to win this game. Both teams need to win this game. I know it's pretty cliche to call it a must-win, but for Carolina, I think they need to get the ball rolling as soon as possible because they're not going to get very many chances to build up momentum going forward. And I think this is a game where they really need to start kind of feeling good about themselves, especially Teddy Bridgewater. He needs that confidence. So that's my game of the week, Carolina at Tampa Bay.
Well, it's definitely a must-win for Tampa Bay. 2 divisional games back-to-back to start the season.
Yeah.
That's rough.
That is rough. I agree. And
I'll give you a quick prediction. I don't think Tampa Bay's going to win that game.
Really?
judging on how Carolina was able to move the ball yesterday. All they got to do is go through McCaffrey.
I would
keep the offense off the field.
I would say, though, that the Tampa Bay defense is better than the Raiders defense. I will give them that.
Tampa Bay's defense is legit, especially their front seven. Their linebacking core is Levante David, Devin White. I mean, those are two studs. Then you got Vita Vea on the line.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, it's
Antoine Winfield Jr. too on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
He as a rookie, he impressed me yesterday. I mean, they lost, but he did impress me.
Yeah. So I think their defense is definitely is definitely a better defense than the Raiders. So I think they'll make it hard on the Carolina offense. So I agree. So actually, I'm gonna take Tampa in this game. I'm gonna predict Tampa.
I'm gonna go a low scoring game. I'm gonna say Carolina wins 13-7.
I'm gonna go a little higher than that. I'm gonna say Tampa Bay wins by a field goal, 20-17.
All right. Well, here's my game of the week.
Yeah.
And it is on Monday night, but it is what it is. I'm going New Orleans Saints versus the Las Vegas Silver State Raiders.
Wow, you're giving the Raiders some love.
That is your game of the week. And for just reasons. The Raiders show up yesterday, and they balled out. I was very impressed with the Raiders yesterday. Now, do need to work on, defensively, need to work on 3-and-outs and stuff. Yeah. But as the season progresses, the defense will be more in sync. Time will be better. More repetitions.
Yeah.
But offensively, it seems like they have the firepower to go toe-to-toe with the Saints.
Mm-hmm.
And if Michael Thomas gets limited PT.
Yeah, that's true.
I think the Raiders could easily go 2-0 this week.
Because at this point,
in fact,
they'd have to. Oh, I'm sorry. Continue, sir.
Well, I was just going to say, in fact, I am picking La Liga Alvarado's Silver State Raiders to get the dub Monday night.
Wow.
Start the season 2-0. I'm going Raiders 24, Saints 21.
Wow, that's very generous.
I'm going another big game for Josh Jacobs.
That is very generous of you. Let's see. I'm going to look at the odds real quick. Let's see these odds. So they got over the spread, they got the Saints 5.5 favorites over the Raiders. So they're giving the Raiders 5.5 points already. If I were a betting man, which I am, I would definitely take the Raiders in that. I think that they can at least match it. They can at least match the spread. But outside of gambling, I would take the Raiders as well, just because of Michael Thomas's absence. I feel like the Raiders are going to focus on stopping Alvin Kamara, and I didn't see anything in the highlights of the game, Tampa versus New Orleans, that showed me that Emmanuel Sanders was a threat at all. Now, I may be wrong. I could very well be wrong, and he could ball out against the Raiders secondary next week. But I think with Max Crosby, with Clelin Ferrell, with those ex-Cowboys that that the defensive line now have, and with Rod Marinelli as the defensive line coach of the Raiders now, I think they're going to be able to stop or at least hinder Alvin Kamara's ability next week. So I think I'll actually take them. I'm going to go a little higher. I think we're going to win by 2 points. It's going to be 27-25 Raiders. It's going to be a very close game. It's probably going to be a lot like today or yesterday. Very back and forth. But I think in the end, we're going to take it. I'm really hoping so, at least. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel good about the Raiders' chances in that game as long as they keep the offense through Josh Jacobs again, keep Drew Brees and the Saints offense off the field, control the clock. Time of possession is going to be big in this game.
Yeah.
If the Raiders could win that, then they could win the game.
I agree. They just got to play smart, and they can't do dumb Raiders things, get a bunch of penalties, shoot themselves in the feet. They have to play against only one team, and that's the Saints, not two, not the ref crew and the Saints. So that's when they get in trouble, when they start acting undisciplined. But we shall see. So I think that was our football talk for this week. We went through week 1, gave you our games of the week for week 2. One NFC game, one NFC/AFC game too. Very cool. Very nice mix. Now, I think we wanted to talk about what we've been up to recently. Both of us, personally, I would say. I was just, like I said in the beginning of the show, out in Joshua Tree, California, east of Los Angeles, the desert east of LA. And Quinn, you had a pretty interesting occurrence today on a bus ride.
Oh, sure. I went to, my day began auspiciously. I was sitting in class, and then I got hit with 3-pound shit. And then after that, I've been pushing off a corona COVID test. Not because I'm displaying symptoms, or not because I feel like I'm in poor health. Just preventative, just a security measure. If I want to spend time with my family here in Hawaii, well, it behooves me to get a test to ensure that I'm safe to be around.
Right.
Especially considering, my family on my Hawaiian side is, they're all older than me, to various degrees. Some are 2 years, some are 5 years, some are like 70 years older than me.
Yeah.
So, it was the responsible thing to go get tested. I encourage everyone, if you aspire to be around your grandparents, or if you know that you're going to be around the elderly demographic, do the societal responsible thing. Go get tested. Don't be an asshole.
Yep.
So I went and got tested, and then I take public transportation. It is what it is. And on my way back, it was an hour-long bus ride to Aloha Stadium, where I got tested. Hour-long bus ride back is about 36 stops there, about 35 stops back. And I fell asleep, assed out on the bus, caught some Z's. Ended up riding the bus for about 2 damn hours. Pulled into the transfer station, the transfer depot, and the bus driver tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, brother, are you drunk?" Nah, I ain't drunk. Just assed out. So I fumbled off the bus and into the blinding daylight. Not a goddamn clue where I was.
Man.
And when I finally caught my bearings and I caught my heading, knowing that the mountains were on my east side, my left side, I was able to make my way home. Walked 4 miles in that hot Hawaiian sun and humidity. And made it just in time to get me a cold cut footlong. You know one thing I fucking hate? Every time I go to Subway, I get a cold cut footlong.
Yeah.
And they always ask me if I want it toasted or heated. It's a goddamn cold cut. And every time they say that, I want to just be like, "Are you stupid or something?"
Imagine. But what if that's a thing, because so many people go in there and they're like, "I want a cold cut foot long," and they start making it. And they're like, "Why didn't you heat it up? I wanted it heated." Like, it's one of those chicken or the egg things. It's like, is it the customer that made the workers that way, or is it the workers being dumb?
It's Subway. If you want a hot cold cut, then they need to make that an option. Just call it like just call it a toasted cut. A collection of meats, a hot meat plate.
A hot meat plate in a bun.
Yeah. A collection of hot meats between buns.
Yeah.
That's all it really is. But it's infuriating every time. I get my cold cut, I tell them run it through the garden, get all the veggies.
Yeah.
And then I came back, and now we're here.
Very nice.
On the Closers Podcast, another episode. Every week.
That's a funny
on
episode. Wednesdays. It's very funny. That was a funny story, especially like when you told it to me before we recorded. That made me die. That was funny. Just picturing you just slumped on the bus, and then just like the bus driver, "Are you drunk?"
Well, an unfortunate thing about Hawaii, you get a lot of day drinking Donnies.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, I wasn't offended. I completely understood. One beautiful thing about my 4-mile walk in Honolulu was, Honolulu's a beautiful city. There's beautiful street art. There's beautiful architecture. Got to walk past Iolani Palace.
Oh, wow.
And some other dope spots, see some beautiful street art. So that part was nice. I'm not hating on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
Nice to get out, get in the sun, get that vitamin D that we need.
It is.
None of the media is talking about, but we talk about it here on the Closers Podcast.
Yeah.
We're looking out for you.
Yes. We want you to be safe. Not sorry.
But speaking of Joshua Tree, how much tree did you burn this weekend?
None,
Marco?
Actually. No, none. But what I did do is actually transportation related. Now, this story is very weird. So I'm going to try to be as clear as possible when telling this story so nobody gets confused or confuffled or whatever it's called. Confuffled, I don't even know. So what happened was when I drove down with my friend Ryan, who actually has been on the show. He has been on the podcast on season 1 back in like November, I believe. We drove down to Pomona to pick up his old lady, and we were driving from there out to the desert. It was getting later in the night. It was around maybe 8, and we were getting pretty close to our final destination, which was the Airbnb that we rented with a bunch of friends. And we put in, the Google Maps, put in the address in Google Maps. We're driving straight, John just talking, having a good time. We make a left turn. We're driving down this 2-lane little like desert road for a good mile. I'm not thinking anything of it. And then all of a sudden, Google Maps tells me, turn right. I stop in the middle of this road, look to my right, and there's this dirt path. It's not a road, it's a path.
Sus.
That says no trespassing private property on it. Dude.
Very sus.
It was sus. And I saw the sign and I was like, it says no trespassing private property. This doesn't necessarily look like the Airbnb that we rented. However, like it is, like they did say it was a little bit ways off the road. So we'll see what happens. I turn in. We drive down this dirt path for maybe like 20 yards. And then we drive by this house that's on this property. As we drive by this house, headlights turn on to one of the cars that are facing the dirt path. We keep driving down the path.
Y'all see the end? You thought this was it, huh?
My passengers, because I was driving, my passengers were like, bruh, this is weird. I don't know. And I was like, okay, well, turn around, but let me call my friends that are already at the place to make sure that this isn't it so I can turn around.
No signal.
No. Actually, I call, she answers, but then what happens next is we're driving, and then Google tells me, turn right again. So I turn into this other smaller path, and we're in the middle of this desert, and Google Maps is telling me to go like around in this weird like circle, and we end up in front of this little like in-law unit that's like maybe a good 50 yards away from the house that we drove by right from the get on this little path. And this in-law unit is like boarded up. There's a bunch of bricks and tires in front of the truck. So like it's a dead end. And like there's this little like campfire looking spot that it looks like people can make U-turns in. So I stop, and I'm trying to talk to my friend to try to understand where we are. My passengers are freaking out because they're just like, bro, we gotta go. This is fucking weird. This is weird.
I can literally hear the chainsaw revving.
Yeah. So they're like, dude, this is weird. We gotta go. This is fucked. This is fucked. And I knew it was, but I needed to make sure that we were not in the right spot. Just to make sure. Because for all I know, I made the wrong turn and like I fucked up Google Maps. So I'm trying to call my friend. I'm trying to talk to her. This connection's a little spotty. Then all of a sudden, headlights are behind us. They just appear. I see the headlights getting closer and closer. So I make an evasive maneuver. I make a U-turn around that little campfire thing.
Evasive maneuver. I like that.
The car pulls up right next to mine, and I'm in a truck, and this little like van pulls up right next to me. I roll down my windows, and my passengers are yelling at me not to do it, but I do because I need to make sure. I need to make sure that this person who's in this truck is not antagonistic and is chill. I need them to know that because we're on their property. I need them to know that we're just trying to find our friends. We're not.
You're lost.
Yeah, we're just lost. We're not trying to do no sus shit.
This is how every horror movie in the 70s starts.
Yeah, well, this isn't the 70s. This is 2020. And
it might be just as bad.
I don't know. Well, yeah, probably worse. But I roll down my window. The guy rolls down his window. It's this like white skinhead looking dude with like a yellow shirt. And dude, this paint job on this van, this like maroon van, is worse than the paint job on my Geo Prism. Like it's rough.
It's a rape van.
It's rough.
Straight up rape van.
It's a rough looking van. And he looks at me. He's like, "Are you here for the Airbnb?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I don't think it's here, dude. We're just trying to find our friends, and like, I don't think it's here. We're just trying to get out. We're just trying to leave. Like, I made the wrong turn. It's my bad." He was like, "But you are looking for the Airbnb." I'm like, "Yeah, but not this one. I'm trying to go find another thing." He's like, I'm trying to just take you to the Airbnb. I'm trying to take you to where it is." And I'm like, "It's good. I got my friend on the phone. It's no worries. Like, we're fine. We're just leaving." He's like, looks at me dead in the eyes and is just like, "Yeah, he says, "Yeah, you should go find your friends."
Damn.
And then rolls up the window hella slowly. I just roll up the window and we're boosting out. We just boost right out of there, go back down the path. Another car turns their lights on when we pass the house, head out onto that road, go right back to where we came from. And I used my homie Ryan's phone to reroute us to, we replugged in the same exact address and it took us somewhere else on his phone. So
Fate.
Then we got there. We were all freaking out. Everybody was freaked out. They were kind of pissed at me. They were thinking
understandably.
No, that's not understandable. I was trying to look.
I don't know. After meeting up with the leader of the SoCal clan chapter,
look,
sounds pretty justified.
I didn't want to just boost out of there and have that dude follow us or
yeah. In your defense, that would be suspicious on your end.
Yeah, from his point of view, if he is just a normal dude that's just like, we get people trying to find the Airbnb all the time, and this truck just pulls up, makes a U-turn. I try to talk to him, they just dip. It's like, what were these people doing? You know, I can imagine that would freak him out a little bit too. So I wanted to just make sure everything was fine. And
she would have been fucked if the second car would have put out in front of you.
Exactly. If I couldn't have gotten out, that's why I made an evasive maneuver to face the road the way we came back.
That was a good call. That was
that game tying score. That
was a Sean McVay call.
That was the game changer. Yes, I agree. So that's my story. And then on the next day, my homie Sophia, who was on the phone with us while we were all freaking out, thinking we were going to die, she finds out that there's actually two of the same address in Joshua Tree, one ending in road, one ending in drive. And the Airbnb host at one point sent us a message with the drive address, which is the right one, and the road address, which is the wrong one. She sent us the road one once. That's what was sent to me. And that's why we almost got. And that's my story. Really sus.
No. Northern California gets a bad rap for having a bunch of weirdos in it. Man, SoCal has some weird fucking people.
Dude, the desert is a weird place, man. The desert is a really, really weird place.
In the desert.
Dude, it's weird. Like, there's nothing. Like, I was telling my mom today, it's one of those places where you're driving, you don't see anything for a good like couple miles, and then you just see a random like liquor store, and then you just keep going, and then there's like a restaurant, like a little diner, and then you keep going,
right,
and then there's like one store. It's like very spotty, very desolate, with the civilization. There's not like one central place, and even the central place, it looks super run down. It looks straight out of like the 50s. A lot of those buildings were built around that time.
Have you ever driven across the southern half of Nevada?
Yeah.
Or around the middle of Nevada?
I've been to Las Vegas, and I've driven to Las Vegas with my friends actually that I was with this past weekend. So yes, I would say.
When you're coming out of Utah, you get into Nevada, and all the shrubbery disappears, and it's just a wide, endless expanse of nothingness.
Yeah.
And then there's some canyons and stuff, but there are signs alongside the road, and this has always been hilarious to me. There are signs alongside the road that says, "Do not pick up hitchhikers, potential escapees."
Zeus.
Yeah, along the interstate that runs through Nevada, the east-west interstate, which is that I-5.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, along
80.
Or is it I-80? There's signs that say, "Don't pick up hitchhikers, potential escapees."
That's wild.
Dude, Nevada is a weird fucking place. Yeah. That's why Area 51's there, man.
Yeah, the desert is a weird spot, and the people there are really weird. My dad, right when I told him I was going to the desert, he thought it was a bunch of hippies that lived out there, which just goes to show you that my dad's never really been anywhere. And when I got there,
the kitty's titties doesn't venture too far from
the nest. No.
From the den.
From the den, yeah, exactly. From his cave. No, he doesn't. But when I got there, there was literally a building, like a Marines like lodge that had the giant words Trumpville on the front. Like Marine Corps Lodge number 3452 Trumpville.
Sponsored by the American Legion.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, hey. I was like, dude, because at first I thought I would like the desert. I thought I was going to be like, dude, I might really like it down here. I might want to like move down here one day and like just be in my own space. After this past weekend, it was fun with my friends. I love them to death. Nothing against my friends. It's against that part of just that geologic type of, typography, that landscape. It's just fucked. It's just fucked.
I think kind of like Monument Valley, like New Mexico desert. That sounds picturesque.
Yeah.
And beautiful to me. When you got people who have been living there for centuries, living off the land and continue to live there, I feel safe there.
Yeah.
But when you got a desert inhabited by white people who haven't been seen by society for the last 25 years, that's a red flag. That's a red flag.
It is a weird place. And then you got like a military base close by.
Right.
Yeah, that's another thing that happened. We and my homie Ryan were trying to get some Five Guys, and the GPS took us to a military base because the
y'all must have brought some money if you were getting some Five Guys.
The Five Guys, I know, right? The Five Guys was inside the military base, and so we made a quick U-turn. I'm like, I'm not going into no military base, even though it obviously probably would have been fine. I just don't want to go into a military base.
You would need a military ID.
Oh, you're right. You're right.
They would have told you to fuck off.
Yeah. So
go to In-N-Out.
So that's what happened. But it was a great time with my crew that I usually go to Las Vegas with, and Ryan, who tagged along this time with his old lady. It was a really good time, really fun. And
that does sound pretty dope. I gotta go down to SoCal sometime, man.
You've never been. You've never been.
I ain't never been south of Monterey.
That's insanity.
NorCal till I die.
Yeah, you need to do it. You need to take the trek. It's not as far as you think. But
I've been to Yosemite, but Yosemite's still NorCal.
Is it?
Central Cal.
That's definitely Central Cal.
It's Central Cal, and then the foothills of the Sierras. Once it starts to die down, that's NorCal.
Yeah, I agree. with that.
So I've been to Yosemite. I haven't been further south than Yosemite, which I think is a little bit farther south than Monterey.
Yeah. I feel that. Well, I think...
But that's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, it was a fun time. It was a great time, and I hope to visit there again at some point, but I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to give it a little bit of time.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
I saw this in the news today. your president, Donald Trump.
That's not my president, but yeah, okay.
Is campaigning for a 4-hour-long debate with Joe Biden, moderated by the one and only Joe Rogan.
What?
You didn't see this?
No.
He tweeted it. He wants a debate against Joe Biden, moderated by Joe Rogan.
4 hour long?
4 hour long.
Joe Rogan would never do that. For 4 hours, he would maybe do like a 1.5 hour one.
Joe Rogan would do it. Joe Biden would never do it.
Dude, both him and Trump would both peter out at hour like 2.
That's true. They would get eviscerated too.
Both of them would turn into a thing where like both of them would just start making themselves look like fucking idiots. Right. And which isn't hard, but it would be like it would become two old men at some point, just too tired, needing to go to sleep. Like that's what would happen.
It'd be a mix of come on, man, and whatever fucking catchphrase Donald Trump has this week.
But I thought comes up with them pretty quick.
I thought it was interesting. I thought it was noteworthy because of what it really shows. And a lot of people, it was getting a lot of traction with some people. You know, obviously it will never happen, but people really like the idea of it. What it shows is that there's a complete break in trust between your traditional media, your cable news media, and the American people. Yeah. To where now they are turning towards a formerly YouTube, now, you know, Spotify podcasts.
Yes.
As
our brother
what would be the main stage for a presidential debate.
Yeah. It is interesting.
Hopefully, people at CNN and Fox News, MSNBC, ABC News, all those assholes, hopefully they take it as like a wake-up call. I know they won't. Everyone knows they won't. They're in the pockets of
the corpse.
Goddamn everybody, yeah. So, tell you what, I also had another revelation this week. You know, I was big on the Gavin Newsom train. I done hopped off.
No, yeah.
I done hopped off.
Yeah, I'm glad you did. I was never on the train. I was trying to get you off the train for a while. You were conducting the train for a second.
Well, I thought any alternative was a worse deal. Gavin Newsom really showed his ass this week, didn't he?
With what are you particularly talking about?
Well, there's the fires have run rampant through our state.
Yes. And
what I found out this week, doing a little research, is that Gavin Newsom is all about that fracking, boy.
Oh yeah, he signed a ton of things into law that allowed for more fracking. Yeah.
And the other thing he signed into law, and this is, you know, slightly controversial. I've seen some friends of mine who aren't Californians who are judging Californians for it, have no understanding or bearing of the good people of our state.
Yeah.
They're calling it the pedophilia law. Have you seen this?
Does it pertain to fires too? Is it the fire?
No, it has nothing to do with fires.
Okay.
No, this isn't the criminals who become firefighters then become exonerated.
Yeah.
That's actually not a bad thing. I support that. If you're out there fighting fire, saving lives, but yeah, sure. It's like the Suicide Squad. But this latest law, let me Google it. It's intended to reduce legal discrimination against folks in the LGBTQ community. Because there was some sort of loophole where if you were like 18 and you had sex with a minor, but you guys have been in a relationship, and those are called across the country as Romeo and Juliet laws.
Oh yeah.
But if you were to do that to the same sex, then there was no Romeo and Juliet application.
Yeah,
you were straight up a pedophile, a sex offender.
Yeah, because
stuff like that.
Because a lot of states make the distinction between the two types of fornication, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and so that pretty much got done away with. And I understand the intent of the law, but it troubled me to see so many people from outside our state, our home of California,
interpret it one way,
rushing to judge it and interpret it as as a celebration of pedophiles. These same people who I knew in high school, who were sophomores and freshmen, getting fucking trained and all this other shit, dating men 3 years older than you, sucking them off and all kinds of other shit.
Yeah.
Now, you know, it's frustrating to me
because they don't understand.
It's incredibly frustrating to me. You know.
Yeah.
I hate generalizations and blanket assumptions.
Yeah.
Of individuals.
Yeah. No, I definitely understand that. That's interesting. I know that's been in the works for some time, and I even didn't understand it at first. But I mean,
yeah, on the surface, it's like, ugh.
Yeah.
But when you actually read the law,
mm-hmm.
you know, the intent of it, it just equalizes. It pretty much equalizes the Romeo and Juliet for same sex
couples.
Yeah. You know, yeah. I guess you could say.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, it goes back to what you were talking about with the media, how there's no trust like people trust it less because what the media has done with that story, especially the right-wing media, they take that and they're like, oh, it's from California, and they try to make it to sound as bad as possible in the headlines. Right. And not to say that independent media doesn't do that too, but I feel like, you know, depending on your own level of intellect, you can kind of cipher through the independent media, like fake news and real news, pretty easily. Whereas with the mass media, you know, the national media, the mainstream media, whatever you want to call it, it's harder to cipher through what's bullshit and what's not, because these people are backed by, like we said, corporations. They have a lot of money behind them to do what they do. So it's harder to kind of see what's right or wrong. And for some people,
it comes down to, you know, personal accountability. You know, the law is there for you to read. Go to California.gov. Yeah. You could read it word for word like it's scripture, you assholes. You don't need to take it from a third party. When you listen to something through the news, it's like the game of telephone. Things are going to be lost in the translation. Yeah. But you could always just go to the goddamn source, because it's available to you, and you could make a reasonable deduction from there. If you were to do that and you were to still to come out and be critical against the law, then I bear no ill will towards you. That's your opinion.
Yeah.
But if you you know, get your information on a surface level from a third party without doing the actual research yourself, and then you make blanket generalizations about a people of a state who provide you with the food on your fucking plate. Yeah, it irks me a little bit. So before you think about besmirching the good name of California, look down at what food you're eating. Odds are, if it's green, if it's a vegetable, if it's a fruit, it was picked by Californian hands.
It's true. And mostly probably immigrant hands.
Damn right.
It's true.
Think about that too before you shit on people from south of the border.
Yeah.
They do all the work. You're too lazy to do, you son of a bitch.
Exactly. You're preaching to the choir. My man.
I hate it, man. I get so fucking tired of people who shit on California without doing the actual work. If you have a political opinion of California and it's based out of logical and, you know, statistical information, not anecdotal, then you won't hear any complaints from me.
Yeah.
But if you just fucking go out there and you're, you know, jacking off to your own image in the computer screen, you're a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I agree. You're right. I love the passion. It definitely hits. It strikes a chord with me, especially with what I talked about this past closing out the week in terms of the fires. And I've been getting what were you saying?
They ought to give that baby to the state.
I know, it sucks. I think
it'd be funny if the state was like, the gods require a blood sacrifice. It can only be purged with the blood of your unborn child.
I've been receiving a lot of text messages from friends from Europe who are just seeing like little pieces from their media outlets, like about California and how things are, how the air quality is over here and everything. A lot of people are like, dude, are you okay? Like, are you in that? I'm like, fortunately, I'm not near any fires, but the air is really bad. And
yeah, it's shitty.
It's funny though. Going back to Joshua Tree, oh my god,
Joshua Tree.
Joshua Tree was one of the only places in the whole West Coast that had decent air quality. And I was there during the weekend where all of Northern California basically was hazardous.
That's because there's no shrubbery there to burn, man. The desert is a place where its life stays underground, as long as you're on a horse with no name.
Yeah, it's true. It is interesting to think about growing up in that type of environment, that arid environment with no sidewalks. And for like, you could go miles walking one direction without seeing any building. And like,
right.
I wonder how it is being a kid growing up in that area. I'm like, no wonder a lot of these people down here, like, now I'm not going to generalize and say that they're all this way, but I know that people do their fair share of drugs and substances down there. And no wonder they do, because there's nothing else to do down there. And
you got a big open sky. You got big open potentials for a gnarly trip. Let me tell you, you take my ass down to Joshua Tree, 40 days, 40 nights. I'm tripping like Jesus.
40 days, 40 nights. Yeah, I agree. But it was a fun time, and definitely we'll go back there at some point.
We also got some MCU news that broke today, finally.
Oh, what is it?
And the first time for a long time. My man, Jonathan Majors from Lovecraft Country, the lead, has been cast in Ant-Man 3, potentially as Kang the Conqueror. And if you know your comics and you know who Kang the Conqueror is, he is a Thanos-level villain in Ant-Man 3.
That's insane. I didn't hear about this. I've been out of the loop for so long.
Just broke today via Deadline.
Wow.
Kang the Conqueror, also known as Nathaniel Richards, possibly the descendant of another famous Richards, who goes by the name of Reed.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So if you know us, you know we love the MCU. So we got to bring that news to you.
It's true. Man, that's crazy. So, but in Ant-Man, in the Marvel comic books, is Ant-Man and Kang the Conqueror, are they nemesis?
I haven't read a lot of Ant-Man to really offer you opinion on that. I imagine if he does have a rivalry with Ant-Man, it would be with Hank Pym, the original Ant-Man. What I do know is that in Avengers Endgame, there's a famous quote by Iron Man Tony Stark: "When you mess with time, time tends to mess back." And what is Kang the Conqueror known for? Time travel. His aliases include Immortus.
Oh, dude.
Time travel is his thing. He has a time-traveling ship. He travels forward in time to gain weaponry. He travels back in time to make En-Saba Noor, also known as Apocalypse, the classic X-Men villain, his heir. He becomes a pharaoh in ancient Egypt. In many ways, Kang the Conqueror shapes much of the Marvel universe, or has a hand in it. This is giant fucking news.
That's crazy. I wonder if they're going to do a thing. Now, this is a very interesting storyline, and we do have to get to Weekly Rec, so I don't want to spend too much time on it, because this can be a whole episode on just this theory alone. But what if they do a storyline of Galactus versus Kang the Conqueror, and like the Avengers and the Marvel heroes are kind of caught in the middle between this like battle, and they're trying to just save Earth and save the planets between this like gigantic galactic war battle that's ensuing that literally can destroy the fabric of the universe, like in a way that Thanos couldn't, because these are literal like almost celestial gods basically.
Well, it's a possibility, but I think back to something Kevin Feige said 2 years ago now at Comic-Con. The MCU is going to be divided Earth-based, cosmic-based. So perhaps on the cosmic level with characters like Thor, Odin's son, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Captain Marvel. Shout out to our girl, the Queen of Northern California,
Yep.
Brie Larson herself.
The dream guest of this podcast.
Those characters may come into conflict, not directly with Galactus for the foreseeable future, but perhaps with his herald, the Silver Surfer, Norrin Radd.
Yeah.
It is a potential likelihood. And likelihood is not the right word. It's a potential outcome. There are other things that might happen. Kree-Skrull War, Secret Invasion, things like that. But Earth-based, Kang is an excellent hero to start on. And if you know Kang's history, you know in the 31st century, he discovers the technology of one Victor Von Doom.
Oh, yeah. You're
right. Which
right.
inspires his costume, which is green and purple. And he takes some of that technology and begins his time-traveling crusade.
Oh, so you think that... Okay, I see what this is. Maybe Ant-Man 3 has a lot more to do with Hank Pym than it does with Paul Rudd's character. I forget. Steve? Whatever. Scott, yeah.
Potentially, what it will have, a big thing, is the quantum realm.
Yeah.
There's a frame in Ant-Man and the Wasp. If you freeze it at the right moment, you can see a city in the quantum realm.
Ooh, that's crazy.
There's a theory that city is under the rule of one Kang the Conqueror.
Wow.
A.K.A. Nathaniel Richards, A.K.A. Immortus, A.K.A. the Scarlet Centurion.
Wow.
I'm very excited for this news.
It seems that way.
Very excited that they cast Jonathan Majors, who is, in my opinion, a front runner for the Emmy. If they get to it, if he gets nominated,
yeah,
for lead actor, he has been killing it in Lovecraft Country. It's really a star-making performance. I personally had him written down in my personal journal. To either be Luke Cage or to inherit the throne of T'Challa. Rest in peace, rest in power, Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
But I'm equally excited to find out that he will be potentially, not confirmed by Marvel, but there are sources who have said to Deadline that he will be Kang the Conqueror. Very exciting. He debuted in Avengers issue number 8.
Ooh, he's an early boy.
He's an OG villain, much
cool.
like Thanos. He can be built up much like Thanos, and he can have the impact of Thanos. Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, if they call it that, will be directed by Peyton Reed, coming back for a third entry. I like the first two Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man and the Wasp. I think they're real fun movies.
Yeah, I think they're very just serviceable Marvel movies. Very.
This one, Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, is going to be written from someone from the Rick and Morty team.
Really?
So and this particular writer, whose name I don't have right now, helped in shaping the Council of Ricks. So it's very possible that Ant-Man and the Wasp 3, or Ant-Man 3, will deal with the multiverse, will deal with the quantum realm, and it's perfect for Kang. It's perfect. I couldn't be more excited. This year, there've been a complete just void of MCU news. DC had its DC fandom event.
Yeah.
Marvel wasn't at Comic-Con. There hasn't been a Marvel fandom. They could have called it the MC and U.
Yeah.
Or anything, and it would have satisfied our quench for Marvel content. But this alone is a sultry dish to satisfy us.
It is.
I'm gonna look up the writer's name.
It is interesting how we haven't really seen or heard much about Marvel since last year. With
Jeff Loveness.
Oh, Jeff Loveness. Yeah. Ever since the whole Spider-Man debacle with where Tom Holland literally almost cried, where he cried to the CEO, Bob Iger, or at the time the CEO of Disney, Bob Iger, to keep Spider-Man in the MCU. And ever since then, there hasn't been much news surrounding MCU and what they're going to be doing in the future. And I think that's actually a good thing. I think people were getting tired of
building hype.
it's building hype because people were getting a little fatigued. There was
oh man,
well, not you, not us, not us, but the casual audience, take for granted certain types of things. I mean,
blockbuster filmmaking, yeah.
Yeah, look at with Corona now. We're taking for granted so many things that we used to just do. Just being able to go to sit down at a restaurant and just chill with people. Like, that's a luxury that a lot of people miss now. And it's the same thing.
For me, man, it's been the theater. I love going to the movies. I've done it probably more things than I've ever done in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It was something that our family always did together. It's something that I always did on my own.
Yeah.
With my family, without my family. Going to the movies, it's almost like a weekly tradition for me. I love going to the cinema. I love viewing movies on a giant screen. I like salty popcorn, that fucking ice cold theater Coke. There's nothing better than that. And I love seeing, big screen storytelling, man. I think part of the reason why we haven't got a lot of MCU news because of the coronavirus is because Black Widow has been pushed back continually.
Yeah.
It was supposed to come out this past May. Right now, I think it's projected for November.
Yeah.
And, the MCU, it's chapter storytelling on a giant screen.
Yeah.
They probably don't want to release a lot of information knowing that Black Widow, even though it's a prequel, probably sets up a lot of things going forward in the MCU.
Yeah, and I wonder that with Chadwick Boseman's very, very tragic death, that if that is going to change anything fundamentally with their plans, and if they're going to have to try to rework things around, or if they're going to be able to adapt to the circumstances with the current plans. I just don't know, but
there is some good news also in MCU news. Chloe Zhao, who I believe, I'm mispronouncing her name. If so, I apologize. Who recently won the Golden Lion Venice Film Festival Award for her movie No Man Land, starring Frances McDormand, has already directed and helmed The Eternals.
Oh, yes.
Which comes out in February. Hype is building around that film. Kamal Nanjiani said it's going to be fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And, man, I'm getting hyped for that's going to be on the cosmic side of things, Eternals.
Yeah.
So, Black Widow will really inform what will happen on the Earth-based side of the MCU.
Yeah.
Eternals very likely could inform what happens cosmically.
Eternals with Angelina Jolie.
Richard Madden, most commonly known as Robb Stark, the ill-fated King of the North. Also starring the other King of the North, Kitten Harington, as the Black Knight, wielder of the Ebony Blade.
That's true.
Kamal Nanjiani is also in it. Dope ass cast.
Yeah, it's a good cast.
Forgetting a lot of other people.
Yeah.
But Chloe Zhao right now is probably one of the hottest filmmakers in the industry.
Yeah.
Her first film, The Rider, which I haven't had an opportunity to view yet, was highly acclaimed. Second film, No Man Land, just won the Golden Lion. Odds are it's going to be a shoo-in for a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
And she recently did an interview where she talked about the Eternals and how it's very much inspired for her love for manga, for anime. That makes me really excited.
That is cool.
It's going to be really cool to see a Marvel movie with a manga influence, Eastern comic literature influence on it.
Yeah, I think that's going to be nice. It's going to be a fresh take.
That's what Marvel does best, man. Marvel finds these directors who are able to inject freshness and personality, their own personalities, into these films. Guys like Taika Waititi, come to mind. So that's what I wanted.
What's his name? Ahead. James Gunn too.
James Gunn, dude. James Gunn is the shit.
Yeah, he's the man.
You ever seen Slither?
No.
Oh man, Slither's a great fucking movie that James Gunn did before Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'll have to check it out. But I think now it is time. I think it's time now for weekly recommendations. right, so it's time for weekly recommendations. Again, Quinn, what is your recommendation for this week?
I am recommending a YouTube channel. To be honest with you, I haven't really been balls deep in a lot of media this week. School's coming in heavy for your boy. But one YouTube channel that I do fit in, usually I fit in YouTube channels on the go in between classes or right before bed. You guys know me. You know I'm a giant MMA guy. You know it's my number one sport. If you didn't watch this past weekend, Michelle Watterson versus Angela Hill. Angela Hill was the first black woman to headline a UFC event. That is spectacular. That's the kind of milestones we'd like to see. But the thing I'm gonna plug is Chael Sonnen, the American gangster, the bad guy. The baddest man from West Lynn, Oregon himself has a YouTube channel. He's had it for some time now. And it is a great, great source for you to get your MMA content from. If you know who Chael Sonnen is, you know he has an outgoing personality. He has strong opinions. He's not afraid to give it to you the way it ought to be given. With a little sweet talk or rough love. Uncle Chael will give it to you the way you need it.
Yeah.
And, I love going to Chael Sonnen's channel to complement my my MMA critical and analytical intake. So that is my plug. Marco, what is yours?
Before I say mine, I have a quick question. Is he still employed by ESPN?
Yeah. He still does his show Ariel and the Bad Guy.
No, they still have that going. Good for them.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah. Ariel has a couple shows on ESPN. He has Ariel in DC in the mornings, Monday mornings, and then Ariel and the Bad Guy.
Yeah, that's crazy. I remember when Ariel, I would only watch Ariel's YouTube stuff when he would interview fighters, and he did a yearly interview with CM Punk every year. I would watch that. Really, really interesting seeing his rise too. But I will definitely check out Chael Sonnen's YouTube channel. Thank you for that, Quinn. And like you asked me, my recommendation for this week is a song by one of my favorite bands in the world. They're called Nothing. That's literally their name, Nothing. And their song, Say Less, is out now. It came out on September 11th, of all days. Yeah, of all days, it was released on September 11th, called Say Less. It's a very, 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 very interesting song, especially when you relate this song with the rest of their discography. It's more upbeat, more catchy. Well, I wouldn't say more catchy, but it's very more upbeat. And Nothing has kind of made a name for themselves by carving out this niche in this, the genre I like to listen to, which is referred to as shoegaze. This niche of being part of the new gaze movement, and which is already inherently a little bit more morose in their approach. Just shoegaze artists are very about the sadness, about the heaviness. They love to exude that, but Nothing has figured out how to take it to another level. And now that seems like they're kind of pivoting off of that stance, and now they're coming at their music with a more upbeat, a little bit more, if I dare say, poppy sound, which some people may like. It's more accessible. This song is very accessible to a wider audience because of its more poppy nature. However, there have been a lot of people who have come out against this song because it goes against everything that they've kind of set themselves up to do. All I have to say about this song is I like it a lot. I think it's great. Their new album that's going to be coming out on October 20th, entitled. So that is my weekly recommendation for the week of September 16th.
Between their songs on their disc, since their band is called Nothing, they should have the Seinfeld transition sound in between songs. That would be hilarious.
Imagine. They would do something like that. They're a bunch of goofy guys. Their story is really interesting too, which I will get into on another podcast at some point. Talk about the band Nothing.
I do have a real quick recommendation that I think both of us could get behind. Friend of the podcast, reoccurring guest, our dear friend Terrell Tucker, also known as Big Ham, has his own podcast.
Yeah.
Called Let It Breathe.
Yes. I agree.
I was a guest on it, week 1.
The first one.
Coming up soon.
The Cherry Buster.
That's right. Coming up soon. Me and Marco will be back on it.
Yep.
Rest assured.
Mm-hmm.
And but absent of either of us, it is an outstanding podcast. My old friend Terrell, one of my best friends, is a natural.
Oh, he's a talker, dude. He's a natural born talker for sure.
He's a natural born talker. He's insightful. He has excellent perspectives, unique perspectives to give, and I highly encourage. We both highly encourage
definitely
all of our listeners to check out the Let It Breathe podcast with Terrell. It's a great time. You will not be disappointed.
I agree. It is a great show, and like everything Quinn said, he's a very insightful guy and gives some really great tidbits on how to stay up and how to let yourself breathe, which is very important in today's day and age. So I also second that recommendation for this week. But I think that will serve
as our second recommendation.
Exactly.
A unified front.
Unified secondary recommendation. And with that, I think we have done enough for this episode. Hope you enjoyed this very wide-ranging variety pod. We are going to be doing some more NFL things to start episodes. Probably maybe every other week, maybe every 2 weeks. We'll see exactly how we feel with the rhythm and with the other guests that are kind of lined up to be on the show and how those interviews work out. But, like how we like to do it, we're going to play everything by ear and see how it works out. But without any further ado, I'll bid you adieu. Please follow us on Instagram at The Closers Podcast, on Facebook at Closers Podcast. Please like our page on there. And also subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are The Closers Podcast. Share these episodes with your favorite people so we can build a community of favorite people. I will be back at you on Friday to close out your week in style as always. Quinn will be back on Monday to start your week with Hang 10. Most likely we'll talk about some Rams stuff, which, you guys
want a Ram podcast, don't lie.
I'm not a Rams fan, but it is very entertaining listening to Quinn talk about something he's passionate about, especially something as passionate as he is passionate about his Los Angeles Rams. So even if you're not necessarily a Rams fan, I definitely would suggest for you to check out the Hang 10 podcast, where Quinn will be probably talking about things of that nature. And without any other words, we will let you carry out your week. And I will talk to you on Friday. Have a great rest of your week. For Quinn Kalani and the Closers Podcast, take care.